Welcome back to Darching, where the players are about to be introduced ahead of the final session of the second semi-final. It couldn't be more closely poised, this one. 4 frames each. Neil Robertson and Jack Lisowski. Never more than a frame between them today. Robertson lost the first frame, led 2-1, was pegged back to tool at the interval. Then lost a frame he might have won. 3-2 up. He was 64 points behind in that frame. And then, of course, Jack Lisowski returned the compliment. Brilliant 71 clearance after Robertson had made 66. Then he made the century. But Robertson with a nerdless clearance to the pink in the final frame of the session to set it up perfectly. This is their third meeting. Of course, they met in the Riga Masters final this season. Robertson winning 5-2. But this match is even bigger, with a chance to play for £175,000 for the winner tomorrow. And here comes Neil Robertson, who said that his performance against Selby and the match as a whole was one of the best he's ever been involved in terms of the quality of the break building and the tactical play. And you made the point before we came on air, Neil, that when you play as well as that, sometimes it's tough to replicate it the next day.
I think that's the case. I don't think it's easy to come back. It's like shooting a 61 at golf in a major, and then the next day you're not going to shoot 61 again, I guess. But we'll see how this afternoon goes. Fascinating match, this, I feel.
So it's Jack Lisowski to get us back underway. First to 9 frames to face Mark Allen in the final. Allen, of course, has the day off. No doubt he'll be watching intently somewhere.
Yeah, I was saying earlier, this is, Robertson is now up there as a consummate match player. To beat Selby in a high-quality match tells you he's got a proper all-round game. He's a former world champion. Jack Lisowski is the interesting one, isn't he? He's coming through quickly. I saw Joe Perry mention if he could learn other parts of his game, then he's going to be a champion. And apart from his putting and scoring, that is, if he can get some nous and his temperament is good. I think what he's saying is that if he could put it all together, then he could be formidable, because he's got a real talent. First mistake from Robertson. Don't know. I think he's not left the red. So yeah, I mean, this is another examination of where his game is at. Lisowski, we thought he was playing well prior to the World Championships, and John Higgins gave him he gave him a drubbing, actually. At one point it looked like it could be a whitewash. He was 10-0 up, Higgins. He beat him with comfortably a session to spare. So he thought, well, okay, he's good, but he's still got things to do. This season he's been nothing but consistent. He's played very well all the way through, but he's still not won a ranking event. My prediction is if he could win one, i.e. this week, then he wouldn't be on his own, he'd win more. It's that breakthrough that he's got to make, and this is another stepping stone, or you could say another obstacle, whichever way you want to look at it, this match.
The other thing is that if he does beat Robertson today, by getting to the final, he will be in the top 16 for the first time, which would obviously be huge progress in itself.
Yeah, just while we watch this shot, just to finish on that, the cut-off for the Masters this year is at the end of the UK Championship. The tournament in Scotland doesn't count for the Masters. So if he could be in it then, he'd be playing at the Ali Pali, and that's when you really feel that you're in the 16 when players involved in that event. Anyway, all that's to come. We'll see how the match unfolds. For now, the only mistake has been made by Robertson, but he wasn't punished for it.
I think that 71 clearance that Lisowski produced to level at 3-all was very significant, because he just lost a frame he should probably have won and looked like going 4-2 behind, and he showed real poise and focus in clearing the table under a lot of pressure. And arguably that's what's held him back in the past, just a lapse of concentration here and there, and then maybe a bit of frustration setting in, the odd shot taken on that he might not have done, and those things have contributed to holding him back, but certainly signs this season with the consistency he's shown that he's putting that right.
Well, it could be a re-rack. I mean, it's not like there's any reds over a pocket, but none of the players seem to be able to find a way back to the bulk area at the moment.
Well, normally the players these days are pretty quick when they realise things are going nowhere fast to agree to reset.
I think Robertson is playing up the table this time.
Fuck.
Yeah, he
Judd
called
is
it on
asking
himself,
for.
but it was also spotted by referee Peggy Lee. He just touched, I think, the red with his ferrule on the way through.
So Lisowski inviting Robertson to play from his own safety shot.
I think he's, you know, Lisowski's one of these players that everyone knows he's talented. He's been, you know, he's always made the game look easy. He's been one of those guys loitering in the qualifiers that you know really needs to be on the big stage. It was really the same with Judd Trump. Everyone knew how good he was, but he couldn't make that breakthrough when he did. I know he's only won one big event, but he's been a top player for a number of years. So now Lisowski is in a snooker. And that's the point. Someone like Robertson can keep him down there for long periods.
And you mentioned that one victory could potentially open the floodgates, and it kind of happened for Trump, didn't it, by winning the China Open, sort of from nowhere really, because he hadn't threatened to win a tournament to that point, and he did it in style. He then went straight to the Crucible, very nearly won that as well, and finished the year winning the UK Championship. So things can happen very quickly when you do finally land that elusive first piece of silverware.
Has he got the patience here? He's looking at a red to the right middle. It's causing all sorts of damage if he misses it. I mean, really, he might be just best to drop into the bunch again here. He needs to show patience, because there are always going to be spells against top match players where you don't get a shot for a while. That's fair enough. It's not what he wanted to play, but sometimes you have to do what you have to do. Very interesting session, the afternoon session here, Daxing. It's very, there's a lot of frames that could have gone the other way from where they eventually ended up, but the standard was very high.
He certainly held his own so far. I think there was a feeling ahead of the match that Robertson might be too complete a player for Lisowski to beat over 17 frames, but on the evidence so far, that may not be the case.
Yeah, the problem is you could say, is he too good over 2 sessions? And of course that bit has still got to be resolved as well. Because you get a match like this, it will be, you know, 2 matches price of 1, and of course if you have a bad session you can lose heavily in that session. It's probably not the kind of start to the evening session here in Daxing that we expected. I'm happy enough a snooker fan, with the way that Lisowski is coping with these demands. You know, it's always nice to see the possibility of new players making that initial breakthrough. I know he's been in a ranking final. In fact, it was when Robertson beat him in Riga. Only the best of 9. But I think this feels like it would be a bigger event if he could get to the final. It would bring about the biggest match of his career tomorrow. But as for today, he's taking this red onto the middle. Totally understand why he went for that. That's fair enough. He's may have left something, but the value was on. It was worth the risk, I think.
One.
Robertson was in prolific scoring form, in particular against Mark Selby. A couple of centuries and other big breaks. Today he's made just 2 of over 60. He's actually been outscored by Lisowski, but he's made 6 centuries this week, and he already has 29 for the season. And I guess to beat an informed Mark Selby in the way he did from 4-2 down when Selby was playing his best snooker of the week would have been confirmation of that.
Well, he's got a couple of reds at the bottom of the bunch here that go. I don't know if the plant is on. There are 2 reds that are fairly close to a plant to the left corner. But as usual, when there's been a long safety bout, like the one we saw, when the chance comes, it's usually a pretty good one.
10.
Well, he took a calculated risk there, and it's not worked.
70.
He didn't have to go into them. There were reds out in open play, but he felt that the chances of him doing what he's done were fairly slim. Clinging on to the side of a red. Break is over. So that will disappoint him, that when the chance came, he didn't score very many. He deserves to be on something here. He's on an awkward brown to the middle. He wanted to be attacking, and you can't blame him. He doesn't want to get embroiled in a long safety exchange. Not really. He'd rather just be playing free scoring snooker. He's not quite in yet.
5. Six.
That's a very fine shot. Liked the way he played it. He knew he'd play the cannon. Or get the cannon. Now, he's won the little first part of it. Just getting himself a proper chance. Robertson's had one, and he didn't make very many. This is quite a big moment for Lisowski already. Oh, he didn't play that cannon.
13.
That's me. It may well be on the red by the green. This is another test of his cueing.
40. 40.
Beautiful shot. Whether he wins or loses, one thing he's got is an exquisite cue action, actually. It's all natural. I like the backswing. I know it sounds an odd thing to say if you're not a snooker player, but I think the way he brings the cue back and gets it through the ball is just what I'd be hoping for from any player. And that is a smooth backswing and follow through the ball, I can tell you. And it seems to come instinctively, which is the hard bit. Many players are mechanical and they're looking for what he's got, which he doesn't seem to have to work to get.
26.
He's got a real talent. Now he needs to move on to the next level with his game.
$33.
Well, that sounded like a very, very heavy contact. He's unlucky there, Lisowski. That was clunky, wasn't it?
And they tell me that kicks are bad cueing. Well, he's cueing like a dream, so I'm not having that at all. That was just bad luck. He's done well. He could only play the half ball cannon on the green. He couldn't do anything with the cue ball.
40.
Just needs some potting as well. Well played.
Never looked like missing it, Philip. Beautiful again.
41.
For the difference, so as you can see, needs 3 of these remaining reds.
48.
It's only the first of a session at 4 all, first to 9, but it feels like an important
55.
frame to me. That Robertson won the early battle but didn't convert it to a frame-winning chance.
56.
Lisowski gets half a chance and does this. Another red required.
$62. $63.
He's answering questions here, and the first question was, after probably 10 or 12 minutes of tactical play, was it going to stop his scoring when this chance came? And the answer is a big no. He was up to the task.
69.
This has been a beautiful break. A couple of awkward moments, the unlucky kick which could have scuppered him.
70.
He retrieved the situation.
Whether he makes a century or not, personally I don't think it matters at all. Not now. Frame is 1.
73.
But he isn't missing many, is he? Goodness me. He's potted about 5 balls with his hand on the cushion rail in this break.
$76.
Well, he may as well continue. If he does make the century, then it's something for the crowd to enjoy, but just chalk off the frame, and he's done that in his mind already.
Lisowski, 76.
That was a quite superb break from Jack Lisowski. Just the start he would have been looking for to this concluding session of the second semi-final. He's cueing quite brilliantly at the moment. A break of 74 after Neil Robertson had missed his chance. Lisowski leads 5-4. Neil Robertson prepares to break off in the second frame of the final session. He seemed to have won the safety battle at the start of our first frame of the evening here in Darching. Broke down on 17. And Jack Lisowski made a quite superb break of 74. Not a straightforward break by any means. Took the balls delightfully. Robertson knows he's in for a real battle if he's to make the final. For the second time, of course, he made the inaugural final here at the International Championship. That was when it was staged in Chengdu. Judd Trump edging him out 10-8. Didn't hit that one as he wanted to, though, so an early chance for Robertson.
Yeah, that's a mistake, and it's probably an unforced error. A double kiss, you've got to try and avoid. You know it's on. You hit it slightly off centre.
One.
Well, I would be surprised if Neil Robertson wasn't able to respond to it, because he's up for a fight, that's for sure. He's in first, but he will need to score. That's really all this is about. You can be up for a fight, but when you get in, you've got to put your chances away. And that essentially is the game. Well, I can't say he played it well, but he has got a couple of reds
6.
that he could play.
Seven.
Robertson has certainly had to work hard to get this far. We know about his excellent win over Selby, but prior to that, Wan Xijun put him under a lot of pressure, the talented young Chinese whom Robertson was very praiseworthy of after the match. He trailed 4-3 in that match and needed snookers in the next, got them,
12.
and then made 2 centuries to finish. And prior to that, he was behind against his good friend Joe Perry and won by the odd frame. I don't think there's anyone better than Peggy Lee here in China at keeping order. We've seen issues this week with a lot of movement in the crowd, and at times it's cost players pots. And I think Peggy knows how to keep them in check.
I don't think he can play to finish where he has, although
20.
even though he's got possibly awkward cueing, he might be able to get to the centre of the cue ball actually. And then if he can finish where he was just shaping up to, then I think he'd be looking at getting into the bunch. But there are a couple of other reds he could play on.
21.
An interesting decision. Up for the blue. Maybe there was too much angle on the red. Stay for the black. He's overhit slightly. Shot he tends to play well here. This is where he swings the cue ball all around the angles to get over to the left of the table. This time gone too
25.
far. Only got a thin potting angle available here.
Neil Robertson 25.
That was a struggle actually in the end for him, that break. Things got progressively more difficult all the way through.
So Jack Lisowski back at the table. He has outscored Neil Robertson quite handsomely so far. 5 sizable breaks to 2.
Played a good shot there, because obviously the pink's blocking off the left side of the bunch. Means that the Robertson safety shot is not a straightforward one here. Maybe looking at this long red. Well, he wasn't close to the pot, to be honest, and he can't hope to get lucky. Not from there.
One.
Well, let's see what he can do here. We know the form he's in when he's in amongst them. He's absolutely razor sharp, but it's a question of getting in here. Taking the right options to make it happen. Again, that's a very good shot. Pace-wise, perfect.
6. Seven.
I think he probably goes into the left red here, not into the whole bunch. It's an argument he could have played that better, I think. Could have maybe
14.
not gone with screw and maybe just stunned in through them off that left red. Think of someone like O'Sullivan who might have made that into a frame-winning shot. That cannon.
Lisowski 14.
Well, the standard is so high, you look at that as a missed opportunity, really. Lisowski will be interested in this red. Robertson did not play it quite like that.
One.
So back in, and well, Lisowski to win this frame. Be the first time that anyone's had a 2-frame advantage. Certainly apply the pressure to Neil Robertson.
8. Nine.
Yes, he's all over him at the moment, but he's not yet at the point where that 2-frame cushion is there. So there is still work to be done. Always felt that he's somebody that can show uncertainty as to what is the correct shot. But that was very good.
16.
No, he will. I don't know if they have to play the red in bulk or would need the rest. I'm sure he would for the other red to the right corner. This is a tough one now. He puts a great ball, doesn't he? He's so good at those recovery shots. Goodness me. He didn't bargain on that. It looked... the pink was going to go up on the yellow spot. He never realised. But he's held the yellow spot. What the odds? That's something that I'm sure many players would have been foxed by. He could have been snookered there.
Thank you, Jack. 23.
There's only so much on the snooker table you can think of. And that wasn't one of them. Pinker's had to go behind his own spot because there are no other spots available now. It would have been the yellow.
24.
That's a poor shot. Out of nowhere. Very poor shot. And that surely was a lack of concentration. All that table, he finished the wrong side of the bulk line on a simple red. You know he wants to take on the blue, but it's probably not the shot unless it goes in. Percentages say no.
Judd Lisowski, 24.
Second prize, the roll up behind the brown.
Yeah, but I reckon a couple of seasons ago Lisowski probably would have taken that blue on, and I do think there's a bit more poise about his game now. Yes, perhaps still the odd lapse of concentration, but there's definitely some improvement in that department. He was actually asked this week what he put his much more consistent form to this season down to, and he said, I'm not really sure, but I just want to keep the dice rolling. And that's the key, isn't it? This game plays with your head like no other. But when you do suffer disappointment, like running out of position when you shouldn't, the key is to just take a deep breath and play a good safety. Not let that frustration affect you.
Foul. And a miss. Judd Lisowski, 6.
Yes, and I get the feeling this is just going to go back. I can't see any reason why it wouldn't. I don't think Robertson's going to leave the frame from this, but he's still got to make contact.
Yes, yes. It's on the straight line, yes.
Yeah, I mean, the referee, Peggy Lee, will remember where she respotted the blue a minute ago, the pink a minute ago, because it's got to be exactly where it was when she respotted. She can just put it back as if it's been knocked in.
I have to get it closer.
Yes, of course, it doesn't spot. There was no spot available, so it's as close as it can go in a direct line with the spot without touching the red.
Yes, and that's where she'd put it on the previous shot, hadn't she? Robertson is under pressure here, you feel it. Do well to play that shot to get the snooker.
Yeah, Robertson's not scoring as heavily in this match as he has in previous rounds, and he's had a couple of chances already in this session, which he's not made as many of as he would have expected to.
And that's a good shot from Lisowski. Robertson's played a good one there. Always looking to get his opponent in trouble. He doesn't play many nondescript safety shots. There was one that looked like he was just pushing the red all around the table, but look what he's done. It's made Judd Lisowski think about the next shot quite a lot. But again, he was up to it. be that Neil Robertson has no choice but to go for this long red. Other options look pretty thin on the ground to me. Going against it. Can he afford to leave the red where it is? The way that Lisowski pots at range. Well, he's got that red in his favour. If he plays the long red, which is awkward, by the way, the safe red is there for his protection if he leaves the chance to Robertson. For once, Lisowski has had a little bit of good fortune there. He doesn't want that one back. 3 reds now, awkward.
One.
Okay, that's some sort of a chance, but Robertson to clear up here looks virtually impossible.
Six. Your Robertson 6.
Feels like an ever more significant frame with every passing minute.
It does, and Lisowski didn't really want to move those 2 reds, but of course he's only 13 in front, so he could have played a safety shot and developed a couple of reds. Sometimes it's not the breaks where there are centuries that count, it's the frames like this, isn't it? The ones that are mostly in the balance and go down to the last few pots. This could yet be one of those frames.
Particularly when it's the difference between parity again and a 2-frame cushion for Lisowski.
I would say that for now Lisowski doesn't want to move the left-hand red because he can win the frame with the other 2. And Robertson could do with all 3 reds in the middle of the table somewhere. Half a chance. got up straight away, knew he hadn't got particularly close to it. Now, even though he hasn't left a chance, he's given Robertson something here. He can get the red out and play a good safety shot, and it could be advantage Robertson on this one safety shot alone. Not quite. Again, quite well judged. All of a sudden, nothing is safe. Not sure about that shot. Didn't look a natural. He's got a red safe, or halfway. Strange old frame, isn't it? All 6 colours off their spots, but still all fairly close to them. Certainly all of them potable from where they are anyway. Now, is he going to go for this? Just a couple of signs of long pots that he hasn't got that close to. He's hit a couple of these thick into these bolt pockets. And he's hit that one thick as well. Just a few distress signals there, the last few shots from Lisowski. He could do with this frame. He may not win it now. Here's a chance.
One.
Neil Robertson produced a good clearance to the pink to take the final frame of the first session and level at 4-all when Lisowski had threatened to move 5-3 in front, and this would be every bit as significant. Felt as though Lisowski was in control with that handy 20-point lead and red safe.
7.
A chance to move 2 clear in the final session. Yellow's a little bit awkward, but that aside.
11.
Good chance for the Aussie.
12.
Yes, in taking the brown on that previous red, yellow to green is more difficult now than it was. It's kind of covered up the natural angle to come across. Now, this is a missable one.
17.
He's still got a chance in this frame. Awkward angle, stretching. And he's got to just get his cue ball past the brown to get on the green. Various reasons why this could go wrong. That really is a stretch, isn't it? Goodness me, he's almost a Mark Williams playing it under his body shot that he was looking at there. Gone for the rest. Can't blame him.
Yes, he hit it very well.
19.
And that was a lot better shot than it looked.
And a very significant shot that should win him the frame.
22.
Leads up to the pink.
26.
It looks as if he's going to play a simple shot to get on the pink into the right middle. It's bouncing it off the
31.
cushion. And yep, this feels like a important frame. We don't know what's to come, but right now it feels that way.
A frame that could have gone either way. Jack Lisowski for a while looked the favourite to win it and go too clear for the first time, but Neil Robertson produces a cool clearance, excellent pot on the final yellow, helping him on his way to parity again at 5 frames all, so it's still all to play for. Parity at 5 all. Welcome back. Neil Robertson producing a very important clearance just now after Jack Lisowski had gone for a long one and missed it. Lisowski seemed in charge of that frame for a while. There were reds awkwardly placed, but Robertson was able to slowly but surely manoeuvre them into potable positions for the chance of a winning clearance, and he produced it courtesy of an excellent pot on the yellow with the rest to level at 5 all.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't a break frame with lots of centuries in like we're seeing that have gone on. Look at that list. You know, it's been a very big scoring tournament with conditions great. Mark Allen, you can see why he's in the final. Look at all those barrage of breaks, including a 1-4-6. And you know, the other players in there, Neil Robertson's been scoring a lot of centuries. There's Lisowski. Of course, the more matches you play, the more chance you've got of making centuries, but you know, he's there on merit.
Yeah, he made that 102 in the first session today to lead 4-3. Had chances for 5-3 and had chances for 6-4, but Neil Robertson, of course, is a great match player.
From 11. Check
Will that nous prove to be the difference today? We shall see. So Jack Lisowski breaks off in frame 11 and straight away hits the blue. Not as though he's left anything though. And we're now back to the familiar best of 7 frame format. Both players needing 4 more. That, of course, is what we'll see in the early rounds of the upcoming Northern Ireland Open here on Eurosport, which starts a week on Monday. The second leg of the home nations. Mark Williams will be defending his title.
Yes, and that was where it really all started for Mark, wasn't it? The renaissance in his game.
1.
That's the kind of shot Neil Robertson has potted over his career, actually. That sort of length into that corner pocket. certainly would have been boosted by the way that the previous frame eventually went.
8.
Just felt that in those 2 frames there,
9.
Neil Robertson was just hanging on to Jack Lisowski's coattails a little bit, hoping, and his hopes worked out, and now looking to move up again. That was a very good split. Great overhead
16.
picture of it as well.
$17.
It's also very expertly played.
He's still very hungry for success, Neil Robertson, now 36 years of age. He said this week he'd be very disappointed to end his career with just the 1 World Championship title on his CV, and that was a long time ago now. 8.5 years ago that he beat Graham Dott in the small hours, 18-13 at the Crucible.
24.
His mum flying over from Melbourne to watch it happen.
25.
So plenty of highlights since then, of course, but hasn't made the impact at the Crucible that perhaps one might have expected him to since then.
I think everyone has got very good and very bad memories of the Crucible. Obviously, in his case, he's got exceptionally good ones. He's won the thing, but it's the nature of the place if you've played there enough.
33.
And he's lost a couple of times, hasn't he, in the first round to Rob Milkins in the last few seasons, including this one. Lost to Judd Trump, of course, in 2011 when he was defending. The full victim to the so-called Crucible curse. Trump going on to make the final.
Get the feeling you won't be too worried about staying on the black. Probably not on anyway, but at this moment he needs this frame. And of course he can screw the red in the middle and play on either brown or probably blue from this.
$41. Blue ball, thank you.
It's well judged on the bottom red.
46. $47.
Well, it's not worked out. It's gone very awkwardly
54.
there. It does go. He clearly didn't play it into the yellow pocket because he just had a look to see if it went in there. I think he underscrewed it for the right middle. I don't think he particularly likes the look of this red, but he's thinking about playing it various ways he could. Pot's not straightforward, though. He can't assume that it's going to go in. Well, he wouldn't have deserved that. And while he thought of a lot of ways to keep it safe, he hasn't done so.
I thought when it kissed the brown, that was heading in. Lisowski's great relief it didn't. Regularly reminding spectators to remain still when players are down on their shots, playing in this direction.
One.
He won't be thrilled with that, will he?
No, it can be difficult when you're in the pocket like that with the ball you're trying to pot. He's always got the snook here, but with the reds where they are, he was hoping to get on the brown and split the bunch, so he has missed the trick there a bit. Now Lisowski can get the red out in play, the safe red. I think that's what he needs to do to make the frame potentially a one-visit frame if the chance comes. It's a good shot. I don't know if he's left that long red, but over the top of the brown, it's a horrid shot, whatever he plays, actually. So difficult. That's quite a remarkably good shot. Don't know if he's left that red on, but if he has, he's very unlucky. Could hardly imagine playing it any better than that, queuing over the brown. I feel that Lisowski's suffering a bit there. I thought he played that as well as you could ever hope to, but he's left the red.
Five.
Couple more reds and Robertson should be home and dry in this frame.
Six.
Took the most positive option, knowing that if he'd have missed the peg, he may have let Lisowski back in. But now that he's knocked it in,
12.
looks as if he's going to get back in front.
13.
Very little between these two this evening in this session. Just the odd little shot here or there. That's all I can pinpoint at this point in time. But I guess it's a psychological blow now that he's struck by getting back in front when Lisowski had started the session well.
Yeah, the previous frame was a big one, wasn't it? Could easily have gone Lisowski's way, and then Robertson's under pressure at 6-4 down, but he made a fine clearance, that excellent yellow with the rest, which he stroked in. It was under
21.
Quite a bit of pressure, but he didn't look like missing it, and there's been a spring in his step in this frame. Initial break of 54, his third half century of the match. Lisowski unlucky to be as hampered as he was in trying to play safe, which let Robertson back in for this winning contribution.
28.
Now it's Lisowski who's got to respond in the next frame. It's a really good match, isn't it? Just as yesterday's was.
35.
Still very much in the picture, Lisowski.
No, Robertson, 35.
But it's Neil Robertson who dominates frame number 11 and is back in front by the odd frame. This match is living up to its billing. Robertson leading by 6 frames to 5. Neil Robertson breaks off in frame 12, having won back-to-back frames. Jack Lisowski with the first of the evening, might have won the 10th as well, but Robertson has responded well to falling behind to get back in front. And Lisowski perhaps just going off the boil a little bit. He's missed a few from long range in the last frame or two, and there's another one, and he's let Robertson straight back in.
Yes, he's let him in without having to make any effort to get in. That's the worst part about it. They don't present top players with good chances. Of course, for Lisowski, it's always going to be a difficult balance. He's an attacking player. You don't want to change that. And I've enjoyed watching him. Sometimes the odd shot, you think, well, was it the right one or not?
Yeah, I mean, he's been knocking that kind of red in all week, so why wouldn't he go for it?
Yeah, I agree.
Seven.
Don't have much angle here. Looks like he's just going to play on the loose red. This frame is in very early stages. A lot will hinge on whether he does get into the bunch. Get the reds open in his favour.
12.
Well, if you're going to finish wrong side of the blue, a bit of an angle on it, wrong side, is better than just off straight. There is an outside chance here. He could swing the cue ball through bulk with the running side and open the bunch. Be a good shot, but it is on. He'll hit it quite hard. Great effort. Didn't miss the pink by very far. Lisowski can breathe again. Not really punished for that mistake.
No, Robertson, 18.
Well, now, is that a 2-ball plant? Is that lined up to the left corner? If so, Lisowski is surely going to play it.
One.
What a result. I don't know if he played the cannon, but he knew that the plant was on. He may have actually tried that, but once the two reds are set to the corner, then he's not going to miss it.
Yes, and really important now that Lisowski makes the most of this chance, I think. This is the last frame before the final interval. Needs to stay in touch with Robertson.
Well, this is where he's been very strong in this match. He's been deadly, actually. He's still got that same edge to his game as he had in the first session. That's a good shot. That's what he played, that sort of thing. Off the side of the bunch,
60.
giving himself options.
$70.
Bit close to the side cushion, but it doesn't seem to bother him all that much. Trouble is, you lose the cue ball a little bit. Not only the pot becoming more difficult,
24.
but getting on the next ball, things start to spiral and shots get more difficult one by one. Oh,
Jack
that
Lisowski,
must have been
24.
close.
Yeah,
That
that
must have
wasn't
been very
easy, was it?
close.
I mean, it was a tight angle. It always is when you're aiming into the centre pocket like that.
Just get the feeling that the red that Lisowski just missed, if it had been played slower, just a fraction slower, would have probably gone in.
And to his great relief, it's not been expensive.
He's looking at a right-handed pot here, and it's a difficult one.
One.
Played it well. Always been a little concerned when he switches to his right hand because he's missed a couple of big shots in his career, but in the main he's more than competent. That is okay, just.
5. Six.
Once again, the cue ball is not under immaculate control. But invariably, he just keeps potting.
Ten. $11.
Yeah, another shot that's gone wrong. Now, what's he do here? Does he get frustrated and play a rash shot, or does he play a shot too quickly without a lot of thought? No, he played it in a measured way. Played it not to get too close to his next red, because let's face it, he pots balls from all angles anyhow. At times when you watch Lisowski, you think that positional play is overrated.
He's great at retrieving situations, isn't he? He's done it already in this session a couple of times. Needs another good one.
He's barely been on a ball in this break.
Slightly
22.
harum-scarum stuff, this, from Lisowski, but it's a very, very important frame. He can win it. And once again, draw level. What a session we'll be in for after the interval. He's some way from winning it yet.
23.
And logic dictates that you can't keep pulling out the recovery shot. Sooner or later it's going to catch up with you. It hasn't yet. Still cueing superbly. But again, not ideal by any stretch of the imagination.
28.
Lead goes to 34. 59 left.
Yes, Perry Mans won the 1979 Masters by hitting the ball like this. He was a left-hander, potted everything. Didn't make a 50 break. Of course, Lisowski makes plenty of those and centuries, but he made plenty of breaks during that Masters like this one. Never getting on a ball. In the end, of course,
Lisowski, 28.
does catch up with you. Still got a good lead, though, in the frame.
Fabulous cueing from Robertson. That was the kind of pot which he made a name for himself when he first turned pro, when other aspects of his game were not fully developed, but he couldn't have cued that any better. What a frame this would be to win. He's got a lot to do at this visit. Red's a bit awkward at the moment, but this would be a real hammer blow for Lisowski if Robertson wins this one.
Yes, but he's going to do well to win it here, I think. He really would.
6.
Making one of his better clearances in his career, I think, from this point. A couple of awkward reds on. The opening one was an absolute peach, like you say.
7.
Not the worst shot either. Yes, the key to this is that he wouldn't necessarily need the black if he takes the right colours along the way.
Looks like a double.
13.
Yes, not the most difficult of double. No double would be easy, but the lineup suggests you'll get very close to this.
14.
Just the way it was set up, we thought he'd probably get it. And they're just checking the scores to underline that point I was making. It seemed highly unlikely that if he did clear, he would need the black. And of course that would be most helpful if the frame was already won by then. So the clearance now is on.
20.
And these have been going in down the cushion rail. You can leave them over the pocket, but they have been dropping.
A big shot in this semi-final. Didn't touch the sides, and he's on the yellow.
Yes, it doesn't matter if he takes the yellow. He won't need the black. So I mentioned it would be one of his better clearances. I stand by that because there were 3 safe reds. There was the opening red was a very good pot.
25.
So this amounts to a very high-class clearance if he makes it.
And a real setback for Lisowski.
28.
He led 5-4, might have led 6-4. Would have expected to draw level at 6-all just now.
32.
Yes, he's not done a lot wrong in this frame, but Lisowski made an entertaining break in the middle of it, but he just could not keep it going. The cue ball was not under the kind of control he's looking for.
37.
Robertson has been brilliant thereafter.
Yeah, 2 clinical clearances from Robertson in this session. first to draw level at 5-all, and now to move 2 clear for the first time in this semi-final at the mid-session interval. Neil Robertson has really upped his game, and he's had to, because Jack Lisowski is playing very well once again, but it's Robertson now who has the advantage at the interval, leading 7-5.